What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @DMac_LA. For all things Dodger baseball, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comments section. Today's Dodgers Nation questions of the day. 1, do you think that Trevor Bauer is still going to be an elite pitcher post the sticky stuff crackdown? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. And 2, do you agree with his solution on how to fix the sticky stuff problem in Major League Baseball? Let me know down below in the comments section. And for all the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. Trevor A. Doubt, a much better outing last night from Trevor Bauer, who had really struggled in his last 2 outings. His last 2 outings, 12 1/3 innings pitched, he had given up 7 runs. And since MLB had announced their crackdown on foreign substances, you saw that spin rate dip, and he wasn't looking as dominant, wasn't as effective, and we didn't see that Bauer swag, pumping his chest. We didn't see very much sword. Well, last night, the sword was back.
2 and Walker strikes out swing. The fastball was up and in, and he tried to get out of the way of it.
And most importantly, so was the effectiveness. Last night, Trevor Bauer goes 7 innings, gives up just 3 hits, no earned runs, had 8 punch-outs through 115 pitches. Now, the command, that was up and down all night. Trevor Bauer just 12 for 27 on first pitch strikes, but you saw him open up his repertoire of pitches. You saw 2-seamers. You saw a lot of sliders. You saw the knuckle curve. You saw him use the 4-seamer. Oh, and you saw him use that changeup. Last night, of his 115 pitches, 11 were that changeup. That's 10% of the time. For the year, he was throwing that changeup just 2% of the time. Then you saw the sinker. He threw 13 2-seamers last night, good for 11% of his pitches. And through the season, just 4.3% of his pitches. Then you saw that 4-seamer, which through the year, he's been throwing it 43.2% of the time. Last night, just 31% of the time. You saw more cutter. You saw more slider. And like Trevor Bauer said, he was throwing 6 pitches yesterday. And if you look at the punch-outs last night, he got 2 from the changeup, 2 from the 4-seam, 2 from the slider, 1 from the 2-seam, and 1 from the cutter. So like I said in my last video about Trevor Bauer, don't worry about the fact that that spin rate is down. Last night, the spin rate on the 4-seam fastball was down 321 RPMs. And yes, he's going to be a more dominant pitcher if that spin rate is up. He's going to rely more heavily on that 4-seam fastball. But this guy knows how to pitch. I said we'd go back to a more crafty, more dynamic Trevor Bauer that was going to use that pitch mix, and that's exactly what we saw last night. So just because his style is going to be less dominating, it doesn't mean he's going to be less effective. It's going to take a little time to adjust, but I still think he's going to pitch like a top 10 pitcher. But after the game, Trevor Bauer was asked if this new repertoire, if mixing it up, was the result of MLB's crackdown on foreign substances. Here's what he had to say.
It's just a matter of diversifying the approach a little bit. You know, every pitch protects another pitch. They all sequence together if you know how to use them. So, you know, throwing a 2-seam and a 4-seam, different movement profiles, just creates a little bit of additional confusion. But you don't want to, you know, do something until the hitters prove that they've kind of caught up to what you're doing in the first place. You force them to make an adjustment first and have your next adjustment planned. So, yeah, just diversifying my approach. I think, you know, I'm at my best when I use all 6 of my pitches and I mix them somewhat evenly, at least enough where you have to go to the plate respecting 6 pitches instead of being able to eliminate 2 or 3 of them. So that's all. It's just about that time in the season.
So I think last night was a big sigh of relief for Dodger fans. It might have been a little worried that Trevor Bauer was going to be this $40 million bust now that he's not using all this sticky stuff. Look, I told you, this guy knows how to pitch. This guy's going to put in the work. He's going to find a way to be effective and optimize his skills, and you saw that last night. Like I said, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's not like Trevor Bauer's been this pitcher that's relied on high-velocity spin rate his entire career, and he can still reach back and hit 97 on the gun when he needs to. Now, I think Major League Baseball should work with Trevor Bauer because this guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to the sticky stuff and what's best for pitchers. Here was his reaction to MLB's memo on the crackdown.
Legal or illegal?
Well, that
Question
looks illegal, but I guess that's not.
Yeah, it looks very illegal, right? It's a combination of sweat and rosin, so I don't know if they can't outlaw sweat and they give me rosin, so am I going to get suspended for that? I don't know. And I think that's one of the biggest issues right now is that they haven't thought through a lot of these things, they just made the umpires judge, jury, and executioner. So if an umpire thinks that your hand is sticky, even if you have nothing on your hand, and he decides to throw you out because he doesn't like you, doesn't like the team, whatever, maybe you're arguing balls and strikes earlier, there's no appeals process. I can't go argue that my hand wasn't sticky an hour ago or whatever. And you haven't, the best analogy for this is you have basically people who have never seen traffic before have now been given no radar guns and have been told, hey, you're supposed to tell who's speeding and who's not, and then give them tickets, and there's no appeal process. So I'm supposed to look and say, oh, that is sticky, or that isn't sticky, or that guy's going 20 miles an hour, or that guy's going 120 miles an hour. Umpires haven't been trained to know what is sticky and what isn't. And, like, if I can hold a ball like this, that's obviously illegal, right? But it's not, because it's sweat and rosin. So it's a mess. Typical MLB fashion. They didn't get a whole lot about this right.
And then he talked about how pitchers are going to be at an increased injury risk going cold turkey off foreign substances, how Tyler Glasnow got injured because of it. Here are his thoughts on that.
Absolutely, I am. There's a couple of issues, and again, things that MLB hasn't thought about because a lot of the people making these rules never played, but that's 100% a thing. There's guys that sweat a lot, and their hands are wet. I don't know how those people are supposed to get a grip on the ball when the balls are so slick. And so, yeah, of course you're going to have to grip the ball harder. That activates all the muscles in your forearm in a way that hasn't been done before and isn't healthy. Like, in the sequence of events, your forearm needs to be loose until such a time when it starts to accelerate, and then everything can co-contract and protect the elbow. But if you're gripping the ball initially and going through it, going through your delivery, different than you normally do, of course there's going to be, an adjustment period necessary, and of course there can be injuries. The other thing that the people haven't thought about is back to this issue. Sweat and rosin, if that's illegal and I get suspended, my team has to play down a roster spot. They lose a pitcher. If a couple pitchers get suspended, they lose a couple pitchers. Now the bullpen guys have to carry more innings, so they're going to be overworked. And then those guys may be at risk for injury, even if they've done nothing wrong, just one of their teammates has.
And you know what they say, don't bring up a problem unless you have a solution. Well, Bauer has some ideas on how MLB can fix this problem.
Now, look, the only way to do this is you have to make the ball somewhat sticky, and then you have to ban everything, except for rosin or whatever. So the way I'd like to see it done is to create a machine. Right now, for those who don't know, the balls are rubbed with mud. So before the game, you get a brand new ball. Someone takes some mud out of a canister and rubs it up, and that's supposed to make the ball grippable. But unfortunately, when the ball gets dried out, it gets really slick and powdery because the mud doesn't stay wet forever, obviously. So what I'd like to see is when the balls come out of the box, there's a little conveyor belt. So you dump the balls in one side, they run down a conveyor belt into a little house, and it's sprayed from all sides with a certain approved substance, whether it's firm grip or whatever else. Like, let's agree upon that substance. The ball comes out the other end and gets dumped into the ball bucket, and it's good to go for 20 or 30 minutes. You don't have to spray enough on it where the leather gets soft or anything like that. And you just do it every single inning. And that way, every ball that gets thrown out has a consistent feel to it. And then when pitchers come in, there's a little swab. You swab their hands, similar to how they do it at TSA, and you send it off to the lab. And if there's anything besides the approved substances on your hand, then you can be retroactively suspended. And that's the only way to do it. But you can't take away the method for pitchers to get a grip on the ball when the balls you're sending out to the mound are super slick in the middle of a season. It's just not right.
So I agree wholeheartedly with Trevor Bauer. It all starts with the baseball itself. They have to find a way to get a ball that has a better grip, because if you do have some universal grip, some universal foreign substance, I think guys are going to find a way to manipulate that. But the big issue here is that they're doing it during the season. I'm very curious to see how many pitchers are going to go down with injuries. It's just ridiculous. Let's call it what it is. Another joke by Major League Baseball to do this in season. I guess something had to be done, but they dropped the ball on the ball in the off season. But let me know down below in the comments, what do you think about Trevor Bauer's solution to the foreign substance issue in Major League Baseball? And two, do you think he'll still pitch like a top 10 pitcher without the sticky stuff? Last night he was effective, a very encouraging sign. But give me your takes down below in the comment section. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. That's at DMac_LA. For all things Dodger baseball, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification notification bell. And if you want to see even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. For all latest Dodgers Nation t-shirts, head over to gearup.la. For the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.